Moments of inspiration mixed with time to network, IBJ Media Events has you covered. From industry deep dives to awards celebrating Indiana's top leaders, see what's coming up and reserve your seat at ibj.com/RSVP. Kristen, Dane.
Welcome to the Pete the Planner experience. That would be weird if we just changed the name of the show right away. Hello, Jameson. Good to be with you. I know a lot of you have been texting me and sending me messages this week, excited to hear from our spring break correspondent, Damian Dunn, as he experienced a great all-time memory on spring break last week with his family. On previous spring breaks, hello, Chris. On previous spring breaks, Dame fled from a tornado.
Oh,
wait, hurricane.
No. Hurricane.
It wasn't spring. It was in the fall during hurricane season.
Yeah, people care when it was. And then on this one, he experienced something that's so good, whether it happened in the spring or the fall, people would like it. Hello, Rev. Hello, Jenny. All right. Quincy, Andrea, Andy, Jeremy, Dame. What's the story?
It's not exactly natural disaster level of story, but it was quite humorous in the moment that it was happening. You and I see the sunshine in very similar perspective. It's to be enjoyed, but in very small quantities.
Very small.
So of course we went to Florida for spring break. The sunshine, I don't know. Anyway, one day we decided we're going to make it a beach day. We go get the umbrellas, make sure there's ample umbrellas and seats for everybody. I, of course, stake out the chair that will be able to move along and stay in the shade of the umbrella the entire day, regardless, so I am protected adequately. And it's a beautiful day. People just coming down, plopping their chairs, there's towels, whatever they want to enjoy this beautiful day with the waves crashing onto the beach. Awesome. People coming and going all day, and you people watch. Being on the beach is an amazing time for people watching. Eventually, this one gentleman comes up and sits, 20, 25 feet away from us ish. And you pay attention to the people that are close to you just to see if you think there could be any problems. Is this going to be one of those, whatever. Because all sorts of smells that roll across the beach at different times, if you understand what I'm saying. So this guy's getting situated on his chair, and he's just kind of glancing around. I wonder if he's taking somebody else's seat at this point. He wasn't. However, he's glancing at the sky frequently. I'm like, okay, well, I mean, maybe the sun's bright. Maybe he's got a headache. I don't know. Weird to just come to the beach when there's sun out, but and a plane passes over. Thank you. Yeah,
You're welcome.
And the gentleman stands up, looks at the plane, extends his left arm, and as Nick Bradshaw told Pete Mitchell, he communicated with that plane. Kristen, do you know what I'm referring to?
I fear I have no idea.
No, she has no idea.
That would be
I know
Goose.
it happened, but I don't know what those people have to do with the exam.
That'd be Goose and Maverick.
Yeah.
From the original Top Gun. They were communicating.
Okay.
Kristen. The bird. Yeah, he extended the middle finger on the left hand to this plane, who clearly had no idea that he was down there. I thought, well, that's weird. I just kind of wrote it off. Fast forward 10, 15 minutes later, because we're on a beach. There's planes, and you can hear it now. It's like I'm there. Another plane flies over. Gentleman looks up at the sky, tracks the airplane. Same reaction. Extends the left hand, middle finger. I got a picture of it. It's not a Polaroid, but it's really beautiful. Sent it to Pete and Kristen just to prove what I was saying. We're not going to share it here because that would be inappropriate. But for the rest of the day, every time a plane or helicopter flew over.
Oh, wait, hold on.
Oh, there we go. Yeah.
That's pretty good.
Same reaction from this guy. I did not ask him why. I chickened out. I did because I didn't want to get sucked into 30 minutes of conspiracy theories and prison records. I just didn't want to hear this guy's story that bad. But it let me create some of my own, and that was enough. So that was my spring break experience, just watching a guy for no apparent reason that I'm aware of. I'm sure he thought he was very justified, just flipping off everything that was in the air that was flown by a human. It was amazing.
Two quick things. I have a theory, which I'll get to in a second, but better yet, Kristen, why did he skip the smoking copious amounts of weed and eating pistachio as part of it?
Yeah, sorry. There's one point the guy reaches into his bag and pulls out the biggest bags of, well, not the biggest bag of pistachios I've ever seen, but the other bag was impressive. I've only seen that in the pictures where police have a raid or they capture somebody and there's all these big Ziploc baggies full of stuff. It was impressive.
All right, Kristen, you and I are gonna play a little game. You love games.
Okay.
You and I have to give a theory as to what was actually happening. I feel like I have a theory as to why the person was flipping off planes, but I want you the opportunity to have the first guess.
Oh, Peter Dunn.
Yeah.
This was about government surveillance. They were looking. The man's looking is what I fear to be going on in our gentleman's head here.
Okay. I've got a slightly more current, not that that's not a current thing, but this is like current events. Here's mine. I believe he was a TSA agent. That's my theory.
That's funny.
Anyway, Dame, well, we're glad to have you back from the beach. Have your feet de-purpled yet from the sunscreen you did not apply to them?
Yeah, they did get my theory, by the way, was his ex flies a small plane or a commuter somewhere, and he's not sure which one it is, but she's in one of them, and so just hits them all as they go over. I had a colleague the other day talking about sports. One of all of our colleagues here and was really into it, and they're like, "Do you care about this?" I was like, "I kind of don't. I used to." And this sort of occurred to me that I've chosen to not care about a lot of stuff like that recently or in the last several years because I've learned that you can only care about so much. And I was caring about a bunch of stuff that didn't really matter. And why I'm bringing this up is that guy cared about those planes. And that's what you have to reserve the caring for so that you can do what he did in that moment. Yeah, the consistency was impressive, I have to say.
Dame, you're old. Oh, sorry, Chris, go ahead.
Just the commitment is admirable.
Dame, you're an old man. You care about less now, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. I mean, you remember you don't think I do?
I think you care more about the things you care about, but I think you care less about the number of things.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's just natural. You get older and you realize that you just don't have the energy, were you, if you weren't this way, Pete, you certainly knew people like this. In high school, college athletics was a big part. The results of college athletics was a huge part of your existence at that stage, at least when we grew up. Now I don't care. I rarely watch college athletics.
I don't think I could name the teams in the Final Four.
2 of them are Big Ten.
Well, okay, so I'm going to try. Do you know the answer, Dave?
I know the Big Ten teams. I know 3 of the 4 at least.
Okay.
Yeah.
Chris, I think I got Michigan and Illinois.
Yep.
And UConn.
Those are the 3 that I knew.
And then, breaking news. Breaking news. This is important. Rev Renfro, breaking news.
Oh.
Rev Renfro's our age, Dave. Rev Renfro does not look our age. Rev Renfro looks about 15 years younger than us. She got asked if she wants the senior discount this week.
Oh.
Rev.
Did you take it?
That's a good question. In the spirit of financial wellness, did you take it? Brian Pinkin says, hint Jason Gardner. Arizona? Is that the 4th team?
Arizona beat Purdue. That was the Elite 8, right?
Oh, yeah.
I didn't know Purdue. Anyway, all right. We have a show about money. I was a guest. Oh, sorry. I keep stepping on Chris. I'm talking too much.
Fine.
No, please. I'm sorry.
I just asked if you had any because I've had a mini excavator at my house for a week. So
Kristen pre-show said we dropped some tabs in the drains to see if the dye ran through. She was using words that no one had ever heard.
that's not true. Your dad was a plumber. You knew.
My dad was not a plumber. He owned a plumbing company.
Oh, okay, fine. Same, but still, that would be something that you would use in like diagnostics in that kind of industry.
It's like calling me a software engineer because I own a financial software company.
Fair enough.
Yeah, it was actually, we did some merge requests, and I sit in those meetings, because it's teams under me. I sat in one of those meetings yesterday. Guys, he could have been an ancient German. I'm embarrassed.
If it was like on April Fool's Day and they legitimately actually talked about nothing and you were just like, yeah.
I don't pretend to be an intelligent person, but let me tell you, you want to feel dumb? Sit in a software engineering meeting, and there's words that aren't even wherever. There's acronyms. There's names of software platforms that no one's ever heard of, despite the fact that they're trillion-dollar companies. It's crazy. I'm sorry. I was a guest instructor yesterday at, it was down at IUND, but I think it was for Purdue. You know how they've got like a merged campus or whatever there?
Really thought you were going to say Hottie Pilates you were a guest instructor for, and I was going to laugh. Anyway, you're at Purdue?
Yeah. So I was guest instructor. I don't know if there was actually a title for what I did. I just went and talked to an entrepreneurship class for an hour and a half.
Nice.
Or hour, whatever. No one knows. My friend, it's her class, and she had me come last year, and she said to me before I went, she's like, just do what you did last year. Kristen's reaction says it all. Kristen, what's the problem with that?
Pete has no idea what he did last year, 364 days ago, much less today.
I had no clue. No clue. And I was like, okay. And I did something. And then I got done and I was like, hey, yeah, was that close to last year? She's like, it could not have been any more different. Jeremiah says IU and Purdue got divorced, but they decided to keep the house. That's pretty funny. Okay, let's do a show. Let's a timer ready to go. Kristen gives a lot of good facial expressions for those that don't watch the live stream.
It just, one, my face reacts before I do, but two, I don't know if I will ever get over the fact that to take time, you have to reach for an iPad. Like
I'm 50 years old.
It shocked me every time.
Kristen, which is harder for you to believe? That he reaches for an iPad or I have an old school stopwatch?
Swim dad. So like that's not even that weird. The iPad is the problem because he probably has at least 2 monitors that he's looking at. He has 3 and he has a phone, but he reaches for another screen on another device.
Because it's bigger.
Yeah.
You need
look at my I
He
can't
pulls up a
see
calculator when he uses his phone every time.
In 3, 2, 1. This week on the Pete the Planner Show, we answer your money questions. This is a financial show. We usually just talk money. And here's how the show works. You email us, askpete@petetheplanner.com. That's ask, like you have a query that you're going to share with another. Ask Pete, not as in, a characteristic of Scotch, but as a shortened name for Peter, at petetheplanner.com, and we will answer your money question today in the spirit of a bunch of new grads flooding the job market. I don't know why that sounds negative. Here in the next month or two, we are going to do an episode on starting a financial life the right way. Joining me as always is Kristen Elanius and Damian Dunn. Hello, friends.
Hello.
Good day.
Dame fresh back from vacation. All right, so we're going to set up the story this way, and then we are going to each build a financial life for this person. So, Kristen, I'm going to let you name the person. What is their name?
Oh,
O is their name.
Oh.
They're 22 years old. O lives in Des Moines. That is the Riviera of Iowa. So O makes $52,000 a year right out of school. And O, you better believe it, has $35,000 of student loans. I'm going to pause. Dame, this feels normal.
It doesn't seem out of line at all to be in this area of income for your first gig out of college. Although if you ask college students what they think they're going to earn when they graduate, there's often a huge break with reality. Kristen, you may have seen numbers similar to this, but the number they expect to make it their first job out of school is somewhere usually between like $90,000 and $100,000, regardless of what their major is. It just seems to be a number that they're fixated on somehow. But in reality, $52K a year and 35 grand in loans seems reasonable for the average student these days.
Are you too comfortable talking about what your first salary was out of college or not?
okay.
Okay, Dame, do you remember your first salary out of school?
$28,000.
Okay, and what year was this?
1972. No, it was.
You had me. You totally had me.
It would have been late 2000.
Okay, Chris.
Yes. Like I would say probably 42.
In what year?
2016.
Okay, guys, I think I remember, but I'm not sure. So I've got two different numbers I think I'm going to share. This was in the year 2000, summer of 2000. It was either 30,000 or 50,000.
That's very different.
I know, but this is the problem with my brain.
Yeah.
So Mrs. Advice's first salary was 42.
I mean, just because the way the universe works, I should not have been paid more than her.
I agree.
Oh,
I think Mrs. Planner as a teacher was around 28,000.
Really?
That feels right.
It's probably close.
Okay, so $35,000 in student loans, $52K a year. O lives in Des Moines, and they're 22 years old. What we're going to do on the show today is first we're going to net it down. We're going to let you know what O's take-home pay is going to be. And then Dame, Kristen, and I are each going to get Top Chef style, some impediment that makes this more difficult. And then we're going to build budgets. So let's go ahead and get it netted down. Dame, you got that in front of you?
I do.
All right, take us through it.
All right. So if we start with 52 grand, we need to get that closer to what's tangible for the average person. You're going to break that down to a monthly salary. That's $43.33 each and every month. But Uncle Sam comes knocking. You know he needs his cut. So we've got about $400 a month in federal taxes going to him, and then we've got FICA $330 a month. So $730 just in taxes to the federal level. In Iowa, somewhere between 4 and 5% effective rate for the income tax there. So another $180. So estimated take-home pay before any benefits, any contributions to retirement, anything like that. We've got $3,400-ish to work with a month. Does that track?
Yeah, Kristen, $3,400. Let's just do this reality check real quick. Okay, you're making $1,000 a week. Okay, you're making $1,000 a week. But when it really all sort of shakes out, you're not, because you got to learn that you have deductions out of your paycheck. So we're at $3,400. Do you think the average first year worker has an understanding of that?
I don't think so at all, because, and here's why I'm going to tell you that, is because I had a degree in financial counseling and planning, and I didn't really understand that, because somehow that part of personal finance, even in that degree program, was, I guess, I don't know if it was, they had just assumed that you would know that, like the curse of knowledge gets you. I do not think that the average college grad understands that their $52,000 a year offer means they're going to bring home $3,400 a month.
And Dame, here's the interesting part about all of this is that we've netted it down for tax reasons, but we've not netted it down for healthcare.
No.
And we've not netted it down for retirement plan contributions. So we need to all agree before we go any further in the show what we want the healthcare to be, and then what we want the retirement plan contribution to be. I have an opinion, but I'll go to Kristen first. Kristen, do you want to go like a couple $100 for healthcare?
No way.
Okay.
O is on their parents' health insurance.
All right. Fair enough. O is on their parents' health insurance. This is why Kristen is young, because this used to not work this way back when Dame and I were 26 or less.
Now, I think we'll have to have a line item in the budget, but when we're talking about what's coming out of their paycheck, I don't think there's going to be any healthcare expense that comes out of that.
Dame, is there any more perfect illustration of this show of that I'm just sort of this talkative idiot and Kristen knows things than just that moment right there? That was great.
Well, I think there's a point to be made, though. You're very close to having one in college at this point. I'm not that far off either. Do you plan on having your kids stay on your health insurance after they graduate?
I
Never
literally ever thought of that.
I know. Same. I wouldn't have probably thought about it until Kristen just mentioned it, and which, by the way, gives me ample time to forget about it before they graduate college too.
We got our license plate registrations this week or whatever, and we just showed it to my daughter to see what we pay on the car that she drives. And she goes, I thought we paid it last year. All right. So how much do we want? So no for healthcare. Kristen, how much do we want? What are we going to agree on a 401k so we can net this down so we can do the rest of the show after the break?
5%? Is that too much? I mean, I know it's not enough, but I mean, for someone straight out of college, do we think that's realistic? That's what I'm asking you.
I'm feeling like a tough guy today. I had a pretty big lift this morning. Got a nice pump. Dame, what do you think?
Based on some of the other things they've got going on, I think 5% Roth is the right number to make sure they capture all of the employer match.
Holy Moses, guys, we disagree.
Okay.
Just rip the stinking Band-Aid off.
What, up to 10?
10.
They're not going to do that.
They should.
They won't.
They will retire successfully, virtually guaranteed if they do. And they don't know any different. They're broke.
But your name's on the show. You get to choose.
For
Kristen,
sure.
It's 5% because the show is called Kristen and Co. All right, so it's 5%. I just want to go through the rest of the show knowing that everyone knows that's listening on the radio or the live stream, the podcast, that these two certified financial planning practitioners are wrong. So coming up after the break, what we'll do is we'll take a 5% retirement contribution for O and see how they build their financial life around it right here on the Pete the Planner Show. This is Kristen and Co.
How many years until your oldest is the person that we're talking about?
Until she's 22?
Yeah.
5 years.
So in 5 years,
There'll be no healthcare in our country anymore. I'm just kidding. Go ahead.
no. In 5 years, when she doesn't want to put anything into her retirement account because she doesn't want her paycheck to get smaller, I would like us all to remember this conversation.
I think that's fair. I think it's fair. I think that's fair. Got our essay. We're not talking about our scores on the show, but we got them back this week. So everything gets a Dame. Just everything. Just like this junior year, right? Everything just gets a little more real, dude. It is like every day there's something you're like, oh my gosh, like a co-host on a show going, is she going to be on your health insurance?
Wait, what if she comes to you and says, Daddy, can I be on the health insurance so I can contribute more to my retirement plan?
Yes.
Okay, you'll pay for her in that case.
And then she doesn't do it.
Oh my gosh, Dame, that's so manipulative.
I know.
As a point of clarity, you said got her SAT scores back. How long does that take?
So there's a bit of a thing these days.
Okay.
And I don't know if this extends to other schools or how any of this works. Okay, I just know how it works at the school she's at.
Okay.
So you get this test that you take through the school and it's free. Okay. It's like all the juniors or whatever take it if you want to take it, but it doesn't cost anything. And the theory around this is that it's a harder test than any other test you take outside the free one. And the reason they do that is so that you don't score as much, so that then you go and pay and do another one. This is the sort of the working theory. And it's not that the school does this, it's that whatever the board is that puts together the SAT, that's a business development idea. And beyond that, the next SATs are sort of right after you take the free one, and you don't have your initial score back until after you take it a second time. So it's a money grab.
You said it.
And it's 65-ish bucks. Someone's going to correct me because I'm always wrong. It's like 65-ish bucks. And so what happens is she took one, the next week she took the other.
Ew.
And then she got the second score back before the first. And then she got the first score back yesterday.
So did that theory play out in your household that she scored better on the second than the first?
No.
Because she was fatigued. Who can take SATs back to back like that? That's crazy work.
Fatigued. Such a millennial thing to say. There's no such thing as fatigue.
A boomer.
I'm just kidding. I'm a boomer. I should be a boomer.
Truly.
I feel like I should lobby someone to be put in the boomer generation. I feel akin to
the application.
Thank you.
It's paper.
Good.
Good.
Dame's sending you one.
I'm just warning you. And the next break, this show feels like it's running long. I have an oil market thing I want to talk about, and it has just been bothering me so much that I want to talk about it. And I'm just warning you. Feel free to tap out. Not the audience. You have to listen. But I'm talking about. Oh, actually, here's what I did an IBJ podcast interview that'll come out on Monday about Iran and world economics around it. I might actually put it in our feed here later next week, just if people want to listen to it. So, but anyway, let's continue the show in 3, 2, 1. Back on the Pete the Planner show. Here's what's going on. When you ran into the hardware store right now to get mulch by the bag, terrible idea. We were talking about setting up a financial life for a recent college grad. This individual's name is O. How's that spelled, Kristen? It's an unusual spelling. O is actually spelled U-M, but it's pronounced O because it is French. So O makes $52,000 a year in Des Moines, Iowa. They've got $35,000 of student loan debt, and we're netting their income down to $3,200 a month. That includes retirement plan contribution and the fact that they're still on their parents', which is their dad's name, health insurance. All right. Dame left. All right. So here we go. We have to cover housing, transportation, food, student loans, insurance, and fun. Okay. Housing, transportation, food, student loans, insurance, and fun. We each have a handicap that we have to account for here. Dame, you want to be debt-free as soon as possible.
Okay.
Okay. Chris, you prioritize travel and social life.
Concerts. Ticketmaster.
Perfect.
The queen of ranch water herself. And then mine is I refuse to have roommates. Now, here's the thing.
Wow.
These are so good.
These are great. I fundamentally refuse to have roommates, and I have 3. Okay. So let's start with the first decision, Kristen, that you will make with your $3,200 a month to start a lifestyle. What are you doing?
Well, gentlemen, I have to pay my student loans, don't I?
Okay, so this is the first. I think this might be the most important moment of today's show. We have some jokes and dumb moments. This is actually the most important thing. If you're listening right now, or if you're going to send this podcast or send a radio show somehow to a person, clip it out of the newspaper and mail it. Kristen, this is the first thing you said, because if you don't make it the first thing you do, that's where most of this falls apart very quickly.
It does. And the problem, as we know, but you might not know as a new college grad, is you have this grace period before you have to start paying your student loans. And that grace period is what's going to get you in trouble, because you sign the lease, you get the new car, you start filling the fridge with groceries from Whole Foods. And before you know it, you can't afford your student loan payment when it comes due. That grace period is generally 6 months. So you need to know what that payment's going to be, even if you don't have to pay it right away.
Dame, at first glance, it feels like an amazing grace period, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Because you're like, I can get on my feet. But it's the worst thing you can do. And it's like the biggest trap.
Yeah. Like Kristen said, I mean, there's all sorts of stuff. You got to get, silverware and plates, and who knows what else you got to do. Maybe there's going to be a trip to go celebrate after you graduated, all the fun stuff. You're an adult now. You got decisions to make, and you are tempted to make some really bad decisions up front to set expectations for an unsustainable financial life in that first 6 months. And so by getting this grace period, by avoiding student loans, you might end up actually making your life more complicated in the long run.
So we all agree that they should start paying them immediately.
Yes.
Oh, yes.
Oh, yes, is what we're telling O to do. Now, Kristen, what amount do you want?
I wanted to go last.
Okay, Dame, you are aggressive with student loan debt. How much do you want to put in?
Are we saying not eligible for PSLF or anything, or just to keep it simple for today's conversation? At least the standard 10-year repayment plan.
But your goal here, Dame,
be debt free as soon as possible. So, in the spirit of my impediment, I will say we've got $3,200 a month to work with.
Yeah.
$450.
All right. My impediment is I can't have roommates, but I'm going 400. Chris?
Gentlemen, I heard about this new income-driven repayment plan that's available to me, and fun is my priority. And listen, the government told me that based on my income, this is a reasonable payment. So I'm paying $160 a month.
$160.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, Dame. If this was a game of Sorry or Shoots and Ladders, she just shot past us.
That's what the government told me. It's fine.
Kristen, how long are you going to be making that payment, just for sake of the listening audience?
I believe that new repayment plan tops out at 20 years. Could be 25.
Nobody knows.
You're going to have student loans forever.
Dame, okay, so that's where we're at. Dame, you get the next choice, since Kristen said she wanted to start with student loans. What are you now prioritizing in terms of choosing an expense?
Got to have a roof over my head, Pete. Got to have a roof.
Roof over your head, and you have to keep track of your own net, by the way. Okay, that's why I went with a round number.
Okay.
So Dame, how much are you? You've got, I don't know, what, $2,750 left a month?
Yeah, and since I want to be debt free as soon as possible, I know I'm want a reasonable place. I've done some scouting out on the interwebs for places in Des Moines. I think O could be comfortable at $1,000 a month.
Wow. So a roommate or no roommate?
No roommate.
So you're prioritizing getting out of debt, but you don't have a roommate.
That's fair. You know what? We'll go for a 2-bedroom, but that will drop it down to $750 a month because she'll have a room. Oh, you know what? Oh, we'll have a roommate. I don't know if O is a he or she or whatever they may view themselves as. So O will have a roommate and pay $750 a month for rent.
Okay, Kristen, what do you want to do here?
Well, in the spirit of having fun, we're going to upgrade my place a little bit, but I am going to have a roommate. So I was thinking through in percentages. I was thinking 25% of my income, which is $760 a month.
Will it be super cute?
What?
Will the place you move into be super cute?
Naturally. It's all about entertainment. I'm going to be the hostess with the mostest.
Okay, so I can't have a roommate, but what I couldn't decide when I did this is, do parents count as a roommate? So I'm going to put that to you as a challenge here.
Parents count as roommates. You cannot move back home.
And your parents live in Albuquerque.
Yeah,
I don't know if you remember that, but they're in Albuquerque.
Dang it. Okay. So I'm gonna go deprioritizing housing, but I still got to spend $900 a month because I can't have a roommate. So I'm going $900. So now I am down to $1,700, or that's right, $1,900 remaining. Yeah, $1,900 remaining. Okay, my choice next. What I got to do? I mean, I got to do utilities and phone. I got to do like the core ones here because I think these ones get ignored a lot too. And I'm just going to go and I'm renting, by the way, right? So I'm going to go internet, phone, and then like the utilities. I'm going to go $400 for utilities. I'm out of touch. It's $400, so I am down to $1,500. Kristen, what are you doing?
Because I'm sharing my place, that really helps. So I budgeted $300 a month for utilities.
300? Where are you guys? Is Des Moines? Not. I mean, I'm using Mint Mobile for $25 a month for my cell phone.
T-Mobile doesn't work well there. Okay,
you don't know that, and I'm great. People won't call me. It'll be fine. I've got internet, and my phone will connect to the internet when I'm at home. And I'm splitting the utilities with my roommate, so that's going to be like $200 a month tops.
Okay, we all know where we stand. So coming up after the break, building the first budget of a person's life right out of school so they can still have a good financial life forever. That's next on the Pete the Planner Show. I'm Pete the Planner. I don't feel bad about my iPad choice here.
Oh.
Jeremiah makes a really good point in the comments, and the boss hog of liberty, as most people call him to his face, and other things behind his back, is that there's so many things going on that are multi-purpose. My iPad can just be the time. My phone, I'm getting texts, I could swipe off, but it just sits here.
Do not disturb is a thing.
I mean, I had to figure that out. No, I know how to do that. You just throw your phone.
Andy also makes a great point in the comments. Streaming services. Andy, I'm a 22-year-old Gen Z. I'm using my parents' login and some random friend who logged into my Netflix one time when they came to my apartment in college who hasn't noticed that I'm still on it.
You're not using your parents' streaming. If they live in Albuquerque and you live in Des Moines, they geo-track that stuff now.
I don't watch live, so it's not an issue.
You guys, the other day, just stick with me on the first sentence because it's rough, okay? The other day, President Trump said that other countries should go get their own oil because we have plenty or buy it from us. Okay? I just want to make sure, Kristen, your face says you didn't know he said this.
Pete.
I know you don't watch anything other than drains in your yard.
Yeah, well, she's digging holes in her yard, but not for oil.
Yeah. So you didn't know that.
Any day, I think that's what we're going to be doing.
Okay. Dame, did you know that this was a thing?
I did.
Okay. And I can have my feelings on war. I can have my feelings on geopolitics, but this is economics. So I feel like I'm going to try to just talk in economics here for a second. Our oil hits the world market. There's an oil market. The oil market is a world global market. Our oil production is not nationalized. We don't serve our environment. That oil that is produced, it costs what the global oil market will support. So that is to say, we've got our own oil doesn't mean that oil is cheaper, because it's still being driven up by the squeeze of oil production by what is going on in Iran. So that idea that, I don't care what happens after we get out of the country, it's for you to deal with the Strait of Hormuz, ignores the fact that whatever goes on there will impact oil prices here just as much as it will in Vietnam or wherever else. And so like when I heard that, again, I disagree with stuff all the time. Sometimes I even agree. When I heard that was either, it was just like one of the, I'm trying not to, it was one of the more misinformed things I think I've ever heard. And so I just wanted to share that. Anybody have any thoughts?
Or do we just want to let him twist and die right there?
I don't feel like I'm twisting. I feel like it's.
So I didn't get past the headline. I didn't read into content. I didn't do any. So I may be, my understanding of what the intent was might be way off, admittedly. My understanding was, hey, if you can't get supply, come buy it from us. It wasn't referring to pricing. It was just supply.
I think, but it's a supply and demand question.
Well, sure. Yeah. I mean, it's independent of what the price. Yes, it's going to be more expensive, but if you can't get your hands on it, come try and buy it from us. But market prices will prevail. That was my understanding. If I didn't learn
I don't think you're misunderstanding it. I think you're interpreting it differently, which there's nothing wrong with that either, right? I don't think we're disagreeing. I think you're offering an additional perspective there. Fair. Yeah, it's basically okay, supply, we've got it. You'll have to pay top dollar because of what's going on, but we got it if you want it.
Yeah, that is my understanding.
I don't know. I've just been trying to learn more about oil, and when you look at oil prices, there's two things. There's WTI, which is like West Texas Intermediary or something like that. That is oftentimes the first price you see, and then there's Brent crude, which is usually from the Middle East, that amount of oil, and it usually is priced higher because it is more exposed to global markets. But the Texas oil is also exposed to global markets, but it serves more in the Western hemisphere. So again, as we try to understand these things, this is like our conversation the last couple of weeks about what you learn in high school and personal finance and economics. I think the understanding economics is just so wildly important to be a well-informed person.
Kristen, can you imagine Pete in Texas as an oil baron? Just having a big 10-gallon hat walking around with his thumbs in the belt loops. And
I thought you were gonna say when those guys have to wrap the chain around.
Oh, yeah, out in the fields. Yeah, no, I can't imagine Pete doing
was
that.
The actual oil field, and I was like, not really. No.
Okay, well, first off, I watched every season of Landman, and so I kind of know what I'm doing. Mm-hmm. Number two, I can be tough.
I think I also can be tough. I think Dame can also be tough. I think that the summary of all three of our toughness is not oil field tough. I think
that's fair. I wouldn't know. I would tell you this, that I would probably keep like a little private supply of Dawn to scrub some of the oil off of my hands each day.
And that's how I know that we're not tough enough. That right there.
In 3, 2, 1. Back on the Pete the Planner Show, the financial show that sticks to money. Joined as always by Kristen Elanius and Damian Roughneck Dunn. All right, so we've got a young person named O, who it's spelled U-M, but it's French. They live in Des Moines. They make $52,000 a year. First job out of school. They've got $35,000 in student loans. And Dame Kristen and I are all building a financial life with that budget. We have rules, though. Dame wants to be debt-free as soon as possible. Kristen wants to prioritize travel and a social life. And I, true to real life, refuse to have roommates and spend time with people. So we've made our way through. We have covered student loan payments. We have covered the roof over our head. And we have also covered utilities. Kristen, I believe it's back to your pick. What category are we doing next?
Well, in true form to what is my highest priority, I want to know what you guys are spending on entertainment. And you can't say zero. That's unrealistic. It can be low, but I feel like zero is.
Does everyone know how much money they have left in their budget?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, I've got I got 1,500 left. Okay, so I'm gonna go. $400.
Oh my.
A month?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I'm down to $1,100 a week.
Okay.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm just sorry. I'm maybe real Pete is blending too much into this person. I was just a little surprised when I heard that.
Afford hot Pilates.
Well, that's not. I think what's interesting about this is what gets blended into entertainment. Your social life of going to have a drink,
For sure.
going to a fitness club, and getting a good pump, stuff like that. All right, so I'm at 400. Dame, where are you?
Trying to be debt free as soon as possible. $200 a month.
Okay, Chris.
I felt like my number was kind of aggressive. I was thinking like a 10%, which is like $300 a month.
Find you a woman that can do both. You know, I don't even know what that means. Sorry. All right. So what's everyone netted down to?
$1,600.
1,500.
1,100.
You're broke.
But I don't have a roommate.
We haven't talked transportation yet, though, either.
Oh, I got a plan for that. And Damon, is your pick. What? We have two categories left. Do you want groceries or transportation?
Well, let's do transportation since I just mentioned it. Transportation.
Okay.
I am since I am living the cosmopolitan metro life in downtown Des Moines. By the way, if O is French, there's no chance it's pronouncing Des Moines as Des Moines. So make sure that you take that into account the next time you say Des Moines, Pete.
Mm-hmm.
It's give it the French pronunciation.
Des Moines?
I'm gonna hope that Des Moines has somewhat of a public transportation of opportunity there, and then I'll fill in with Ubers on everything on bum rides with folks outside of that. So I will say $300 a month on transportation, all in.
And just, I should have said this. I feel like we also are going to have a leftover miscellaneous, every single one of us, for all the main things we're not going to cover. So how much did you say, Dan?
300.
Okay. Does that include car insurance, which is going to cost $250 a month?
I'm not going to have a car. I'm going to use public transportation and Ubers, and then my friends.
All right. I'm going to go. I hate this part of my budget. Like, I think I'm in trouble here because to spend $900 by myself, I can't be in anywhere super metropolitan. I'm going to be like off behind like a Holiday Inn Express in Suites. Boy, I'm going to go 500, and I hate every part of that. Mm-hmm. I hate it because of car insurance, and my car payment will be $325, and my car insurance will be like $175 because I'm young and wreck a lot. Kristen?
I kind of took the same. My thought was kind of the same approach, but I am in the spirit of entertainment. I'm driving the car that my parents helped me buy in high school until it dies. But still, I'm 22 years old, so my car insurance is through the roof. I have to commute because I prioritized a place that was cool and fun over a place because I couldn't afford anything more than that closer to a city. I don't think $450 is out of bounds.
Okay, I have $600 left for food, an emergency fund, and miscellaneous. Kristen, how much do you have left?
1,000.
Dame?
13.
Okay, this is good. All right, so I'm going to hit groceries and food here. I got $600 left. Oh, I'm in trouble. I'm in deep trouble here. Oh boy, I'm going 400. I've blown it. I'm 400, and I'm just going to say my miscellaneous is 200, and I'm not putting any money into savings. I've blown it completely. But this is the cost of not having a roommate. If I'm being honest with you, this is actually a pretty good lesson here.
Yeah.
So I have nothing left. 200 miscellaneous, 400 food. I'm not saving any money because I refuse to have a roommate. Is it worth the social safety? Kristen, what are you doing?
If I agree or what I'm doing?
No. What are you doing next?
Which one do I have? Food is first. I think.
Yeah, just do food, miscellaneous, and emergency fund. Just end it.
Yeah, groceries and dining. I was thinking like $450, And then emergency, I could do 300. I'm bad at math. That's 750. So that gives me 250 for miscellaneous.
Okay.
I feel like that's not awful. / saving.
Yeah.
I was thinking 450 for food and groceries as well. So take that out, and then 10% ish 300 for emergency fund. Down to 550. That means 550 for miscellaneous, which isn't going to go into miscellaneous, all of it, which means I've got even more to accomplish my goal of being debt free even sooner.
Kristen, how did Dame do this? I feel like he cheated.
I feel like he did too, but you know what we didn't take into consideration that plagues you in your 20s when it comes to money?
Hair care.
No, the fact that everybody's hitting like milestones and you get invited to 500 weddings, bachelorettes, baby showers, and I specifically was thinking you need a gifts budget and it's probably going to have to be 5% of your income.
Have you met me? Do you think anyone's invited me to anything?
You don't think well, okay, pause. There's two different questions there. 22-year-old you was getting invited to stuff. You may just have not gone.
Yeah, it's fair. Dame, I think I want the operative point of this exercise to be this. I don't really care how you do it, but you got to do it. What we just went through, I'm making something up. I bet 25% of people actually just do what we did is they do this. They just kind of go. They figure it out as they go. And they react and react and react. And then they're climbing an uphill battle for the rest of their financial life because they did not take 2 segments. They didn't take 17 minutes to do this. Kristen, it doesn't actually have to be any more complicated than what we just did.
No, it really doesn't. But you can't know what you don't know. And I think that's the problem, is not knowing, like the student loan thing is the item that could completely derail this. That and your rent. You in the moment, it's like, I have to find a place to live and I'm not really worried about my student loans right now because those aren't due. I think those are the two things, if anything else, that you have to focus on.
Damien, the other thing we didn't talk about at all is I'm going to Spain.
Yeah. I mean, there's one-offs. I mean, if we gave serious consideration to what these numbers are, we'd probably say, oh boy, we have to reapproach some of this. But again, just the basics of sitting down and trying to plan out where these dollars are going is going to be pretty insightful and instructive. And you've got to start somewhere and use that as a springboard to future financial success.
All right, here's what we're going to do. We're going to take a break. Do it. Send this show. Go to wherever they get podcasts. Have them explain how to do it. Send it to them. And just give them something to say no to. Coming up after the break, we got the biggest waste of money of the week. And the news. Dame is back reading the news right here on the Pete the Planner Show. I am Pete the Planner.
Kristen, did you have there are like little seminars that you had to take while you were in school? You didn't get credit for them, but you had to do them. You had to go like sit and listen to somebody talk for an hour, or or a few different people for a different time period for an hour at a time in order to graduate.
In college?
Yeah.
Yeah, but the very first one I fell for that, where they were like, you have to go to this. And it was like, wait a minute. There's no accountability here. This isn't going on my transcript. And then I didn't go to those kinds of things anymore.
That must have been something that happened after I graduated because you had to sign in and show that you were there. But
I think the first time you had to swipe an ID, but then when you get your first like transcript or your academic record and none of it's there, I'm like, you're going to hold my diploma for this? Doubtful.
Just seems like a class like this ought to be required for college seniors, or if you're going to live off of campus, maybe even if you weren't going to live in student housing, that you had to have something like this before you're off campus.
Keep chatting. I'll be right back.
Oh man.
Now, Dame, they would put degree holds. So I worked in registration at Purdue and they would put degree holds for related things. So I don't think that's totally out of bounds, because we would put degree holds if someone hadn't completed their exit counseling for their student loans.
Really?
Mm-hmm. And people would come in and be like, I want my diploma. And I'm like, take your required class. But I think that was because that's mandated by the federal government, by Department of Education. I don't think the individual universities, I don't know what hand they had to play in that.
Big loans keeping you down, making sure that you Learn how to pay back Uncle Sam before you go out and start making money.
Do you know what I did with those videos? Mute, click. I had other things to be doing at that time. I was taking like 22 credits.
So you didn't have like a little checkbox that you had to hit or answer a question along the way, or you just knew the answers and it really didn't matter?
I Googled them.
Oh. That's Academic Integrity by Kristen Elanius.
It wasn't academic.
Something you had to take and pass before you could get your
Yeah, but it wasn't for a grade. It was just so that you could get your so that they would sign off on your loan, so to speak, and be like, yes, for sure, you funded this education.
If anybody's wondering what a normal phone call sounds like between Kristen and I, you're getting a really good taste of it right now. This is really, really indicative of what's going on.
I don't know. Okay, here's the thing.
Yeah.
Some would say that's wildly unprofessional. In 3, 2, 1. This week's biggest waste of money of the week right here on the Pete the Planner Show is the handmade chocolate egg from Nip Schilt. Sorry, I had to pause there. I did not want to risk getting a fine. It is Nip Schilt. Easter has a new centerpiece. It comes from Fritz Nipschilt, the Denmark born chocolatier, whose La Madeleine au Truffe was recognized by Forbes as the most expensive chocolate in the world. His giant milk chocolate speckled dinosaur egg is homemade from house blended milk chocolate, hand speckled with white and dark chocolate, and comes in at 15 pounds and 14 by 8 by 8 inches, which is a way to say it will not be confused with anything at the grocery store. Nipschilt, who has been fusing old European craftsmanship with avant-garde flavors out of his Norwalk, Connecticut shop since 1999, did beat Bobby Flay on Throwdown and earned the trust of Martha Stewart along the way. They shared investing tips. The egg serves 16.
Time out.
A pound a piece.
Okay, so this was I read this earlier. That's literally the dumbest thing in the world.
That's pretty bad.
I mean, a 15-pound egg serves 16.
How far into this do you think you get before you start to really feel sick? Because the sugar's not going to hit you right away. Can you get a quarter pound into your serving before you start to lose it?
Okay, so what do we think a normal ounce, like a candy bar, is? How many ounces is that?
Good question.
I would have absolutely 3.
By the way, it says it keeps for up to 6 months in a cool, dark place. Same. The question isn't whether to get one, it's how you'll cut into it. Dane, what do we think candy bar ounces are? Do we know?
No, I did not Google that. I was trying to figure out what kind of nipschilt would buy this.
You got a real laugh. That's how my dad laughs. My dad laughs like this. He goes...
A Hershey bar is 1.5 ounces, so you would have to eat.
Really?
Oh,
that's it?
That's what Andy said.
10. So 10 Hershey bars.
Oh my gosh.
No.
Right? No,
8.
Oh.
No. I can do math.
10.
Folks, you don't come here for the math. I just want to remind everybody.
Yeah, it's 10. It's 10 and 2/3 Hershey bars. That's a lot.
How much does this cost? Kristen?
The copy was really over the top. We name dropped. This is a $300 centerpiece.
Dame?
I was going to say $1,000.
We have a winner.
Oh, somebody get it right on?
Someone got it right on. And that person's name is Mother of Maggie, Kristen Elanius, $300 on those. Congrats.
Thank you.
Nice job.
Wow. You know what? I either get it right on or couldn't be farther away. So that's really great for me.
Dane, what's in the news this week?
Gas prices just popped back over $4 a gallon. If you're thinking, well, that's annoying, the International Energy Agency would like a word with you. Their director of Faith Birol basically said what we've all felt so far. That was the easy part. Yeah. Here's why. The oil we've been using lately was already on ships before the Strait of Hormuz got shut down. Those tankers are arriving now. And once they're done, that pipeline dries up. His quote was pretty blunt. In April, there's nothing. And if you're looking for a date to circle, JP Morgan says April 15th is when the last of that oil is expected to hit the U.S. After that, we're not just talking about higher prices. We're talking about potential shock. He compared this to the oil crises of the 70s, the ones that helped push economies, into recession. Only difference, those were about 5 million barrels a day in lost supply. This is more like 12 million barrels. So yeah, $4 gas might end up being the good old days for a while.
Kristen, I feel trapped by this story because yesterday was the anniversary of Liberation Day. I celebrated. And I remember distinctively getting into, it's going to take 30 days for the goods to get from China to LA. And then that's when inflation's going to, and I just was like doing this real awkward math, but this one feels more legitimate. This feels like there was a history to it. And come April 15th, the Ides of April, we're going to wish we walked to work.
But here's what I don't understand, and perhaps this is why I should have taken high school econ a little more seriously. Maybe Pete has a point. They already know that there's not, they meaning like collectively, we already know that there's not going to be enough supply. Isn't that already baked into the price that we pay today? Because there's not going to be supply. So the thought of, yeah, it's going to get even worse. I hear that, but we already know that.
That's a really great question. I don't know how to answer that. Dame, do you have a sense?
Nothing that's going to make sense.
Okay.
I would say sometimes things are priced in a predictive way. But then when reality, but part of that is hedging that this all goes away and ends.
Oh, so you're saying that like to some degree that's not baked in because like we're all hoping that doesn't happen.
Yeah, I think that's part of it, right? It's the uncertainty. I think that's what I ultimately got burned on with my tariff predictions. And not that it was about me, but I've made it about me.
Well, it's a good thing I work from home.
Dame, are you doing the jobs report from today or no?
It came in late. If you've got something you want to read, you're welcome to.
We got to talk about it because I sent you guys a note pre-show. U.S. payrolls rose by 178,000 jobs in March, more than expected. And what was predicted was 59,000 jobs. So 3x what was predicted. That is so far off of what we thought jobs would be in March that, Dame, I hate to do this. I hate it. I don't buy it.
One, I don't believe that you hate to do this. I think this is something that you.
There it is.
Yeah. And two, I mean, does anybody put serious stock into these numbers at this point? I mean, did the market move at all? Did the futures bounce when this was released?
Well, it's market's closed today for Good Friday, I believe.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
And so we won't know it until Sunday night at 6 p.m.
And everybody forgot by then.
Well, that's interesting too. Yeah,
that's big news stories are a mere flash in the pan. There will be 3 more big stories before the market reopens, at least.
Anyone else is in the news?
Your favorite person, Elon Musk, is back at it. This time he's trying to take SpaceX public, not in a small way. Reports say they're aiming to raise $75 billion at a $1.75 trillion valuation. Pete, you and I grew up at the same time. We are both fascinated by space and watching shuttles and rockets. And I'm sure you probably caught at least a replay of the launch that happened earlier this week. Same as I did. I'm curious with our, just how we view space and space travel and things like that. Are you at all interested in something like this and maybe owning a slice of it, even if you may disagree with the guy who founded the company in a pretty significant way on certain things?
I like where you're going with this, and I appreciate it. I think it's a very fair question, and my answer is so curt that it feels offensive, but it's not. It's just no, I don't. But it's not because I'm being difficult. I just no. Do you?
Yeah, I kind of do.
Cool.
But how else would you stream your soccer games without the overlord Elon?
No, I'm saying I would not invest in SpaceX.
Right, but never mind.
This isn't about my reason to not do it is not about that. It's like there's lots of things that are super interesting to me, to Dame's point, but I rarely invest in them in that regard. But I think it's a really good question. Speaking of good questions, will we be back next week? Yes, we will. Hey, everybody. Thanks for listening. Find the podcast. Send it to a young. Send you good vibes. Good vibes are all that's in the budget. I'm Pete the Planner. That was the show. Yeah, I wasn't I told you. It sounded like I was being difficult. I just, no.
Yeah, I was thinking through a different lens of like what they're doing, like via Starlink, what they're... Go ahead, Dame.
I'm really curious that when a new administration comes in, if SpaceX will be looked upon as favorably in governmental agencies as it might be right now. Yeah, they've got some serious competitive advantages, but will there be new restrictions put in place that might slow things down a little bit?
Can I ask a dumb question that I should probably know?
That's my job, but go ahead.
Starlink is its own thing or is under this?
That's a good question.
I don't know how that's structured. I don't know if it's, I don't know.
As someone who lives in the middle of nowhere, I cannot say it. I my livelihood cannot afford to say a bad thing about it because my livelihood is literally up until last week dependent on it.
What happened last week?
I got fiber. And I'm like the only person I know, by the way, who even has access.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you this. It will keep you fuller longer. I love my Starlink roam that I use for streaming soccer games so much. It is a game changer. Mm-hmm. Okay, I gotta quit doing this.
Nope.
Dame, good luck to Purdue. This nope. Chris, nope. Who's good? No one cares. Okay, stay getting money.
Do you want the real scoop on what's happening in Indiana business? Check out the IBJ podcast. I'm Mason King, and each week I sit down with people who make news in Indiana to get insights and perspectives you won't hear anywhere else. It's business, but you won't need an MBA. The guests run the gamut from CEOs, developers, and sports executives to artists and chefs and financial planners. If there's a theme, it's that everything has a cost. And success often depends on how you define profit and loss. So if you want to deepen your understanding of the people and projects shaping Indiana, give the IBJ podcast a try. You can find it at ibjpodcast.com or wherever you get your podcasts.
Thanks for listening to this IBJ Media podcast. You're probably going to remember this ad. Do you know why? Podcast advertising works. 85% of listeners recalled hearing an ad during a podcast, and 70% of podcast listeners have acted after hearing an ad. So whether you're looking to be heard across the entire IBJ Media Podcast Network, sponsor one of our shows, or just start with a 30-second ad, IBJ Media can help. Contact advertise at ibj.com to learn more.